Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Charged Up. This is episode 16, I think. Strong start on my end. I, as always, am your humble host, Justin, and I am joined by the self-proclaimed marvelous one. I keep almost screwing that up. Ben, or Iggy.
You know, I don't even ask y'all to do that. Like, that's just something I call myself, so I'm just flattered that you do call me the self-proclaimed marvelous one. Makes my ego feel a lot better.
Well, no, that's the thing. Is like I always almost say just like marvelous one instead of self-proclaimed, and that would give you an ego stroke that I just can't allow.
Yeah, I'm not the marvelous one. That's why I'm self-proclaimed. But hello, everybody.
Yeah. So we just have a few kind of quick things this week, honestly. Of course, you know, Defenders premiered over the weekend, or last weekend, I guess, if you're, you know, not listening to this as we're recording it right now, which is most of you. And then we also, after the Defenders aired, and I think after I had already finished it, because it took like 2 sit-downs of 4 episodes each to finish that thing, there was an Eclipse, which we're going to go ahead and start with because it's a quicker topic. But I don't know about you. I don't remember the exact path, but for us, at least in Missouri, it was a totality location, which basically means that like there was total coverage of the moon over the sun, you know, an actual eclipse and not just like a partial or whatever. You know, a half chub, if you will, a solar half chub. But yeah, so like it was a big deal around here. Like before, I think I said on the Gamescast a week or two ago that before that actually happened, there were like news reports and stuff about like potentially possibly like, well, a couple 100,000 or like up to 1 million people flooding into the state to view at various spots, because it was like the city I'm in and then like a 60-mile radius around pretty much this area kind of was all in the like the range of totality. So some of the bigger cities like St. Louis, Kansas City, like they weren't quite getting the full coverage. So even like within Missouri, people were coming down here to like a 100,000 population city. Nothing huge. And so there's all these news reports of like, you know, make sure that you've got gas, make sure like you've, you know, figured out all your groceries, you've paid all your bills, like so nothing gets shut off and you'll be stranded in the middle of nowhere when all these people rush in. And like they basically said, I've actually pulled up a news article from the local news
Paper
that said no one gets a paper anymore.
I get the paper.
I
get the paper.
Well, you also ride the bus, yeah, which no one does anymore. So I think people in buses.
If you live in a major metropolitan city, you do.
That's fair. But I just feel like buses and papers go together.
Okay.
But
I still believe it's 1999.
Then I am being born. Goo goo gaga. Yeah, basically, I can't find the quote, but they said to essentially treat it like it's a blizzard, like icy conditions.
Wow.
So, you know, normal news doing newsy things and hyping up everything more than it needs to be. But essentially, like we me and my fiance both took off work that day because we're hearing all this stuff about traffic being insane. Like all the hotel rooms in town were booked, and like rumors were at least that people were literally like renting out their houses or even like their yards for people to camp in for like multiple hundred or possibly upwards of like 1,000 or more just for that night for people to come in, because all the hotels were booked and they're like, we have to stay somewhere. So people would like go on a trip for the weekend, like go out of town and then rent their house out to tourists that were coming in for way more than their trip cost, and they'd get like paid to go on a little vacation for the weekend and not have to deal with all the traffic and stuff. I don't know of any personal accounts of that happening, but apparently that was a thing in some cases. Like people were coming in from all over the world, even, because this is like, for those that don't know, the eclipse is something that kind of happens traditionally like 1 to 3 years, like every 1 to 3 years, but it's very rarely in like a, you know, visible location. at least as far as like we're concerned. So this is the first one that's actually like cut across the Midwest, or at least like a majority of the U.S. since 1918. So in some cases, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Although there's actually going to be another one that also cuts across the Midwest in 2024. So joke's on you, people who spent thousands of dollars to travel for it. But yeah, so I mean, it is a big deal. Like, I'm not trying to undercut that, but also literally like the actual like totality part, like when the eclipse happens, lasted approximately 2.5 minutes of actual like eclipse coverage where you didn't need to, put on those goofy glasses to see anything.
You didn't need to look like Cyclops.
Right. And it was cool. Don't get me wrong. Like, we went out there, like, we were kind of waiting. We shared a pair of glasses, just kind of like, seeing like, you put them on and it kind of cuts through all the like solar rays. So you can just see like the outline of the, like basically the moon kind of creeping in. And then, the closer it got, kind of the darker the sky got around us. So it was like 1 PM and it felt like, kind of evening, like dusk type time. And it started to get really cool. And there's like a really eerie calm as like the temperature dropped like 10 or 20 degrees and it got really cool out, or it got really dark out. And so it's this really interesting moment. But then like, the actual eclipse happened and we could take off our glasses and just stare at it. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. Couldn't get a good picture or anything because I don't have a good enough camera for that. Although I saw some that other people took and they were really impressive. But, like you're seeing it from far away. Like it is just kind of looking at something that you could watch like on the NASA Twitch feed, for example, and get a much better view of. And then, 2 minutes later, it crests back over. You got to look away or you'll go blind. So you probably can't even look at it the whole time because you're like, you got to look up and you're like, okay, I'm afraid, and look down again, unless you're Trump. And then it's over. Like it, it goes back to being super bright, and it actually got like really muggy and gross the rest of the day, and then like rained all the next day, and was like, it kind of like it threw off at least our body rhythm. I don't know about other people, but it just like it made the atmosphere feel weird, and like the next day just kind of woke up feeling really groggy and out of it, and like I called it the post eclipse syndrome. And even the rest of Monday, like, I think that drastic change in temperature, like, down and then back up, just messed with everything internally. So it was kind of weird, honestly. Like, it was cool in the moment, but then afterwards it was like, oh, I can't do the rest of this day. And so, like, I personally, I can't imagine someone spending, like, thousands of dollars, potentially, to travel into some city that was in totality. If that was, like, the only thing they're doing. And then watch it for like, a few minutes and then what? It's over. Like, what do you do? There was like, I spent a while watching the NASA Twitch feed, because I was just working on some document stuff. And so like I had that up just to be noise. And like they would cut all over the country to different people, or different places that, were having it happen. Cause obviously, it would crest over in one location, and then, as it goes around the world, it would kind of, it would crest over there and there and there. So they just kind of switched to each feed, like 2 minutes until it happens here, and then, 2 minutes until it happens here, and so on. And so it went to like, actually, I think it went to Texas at one point. It went to like Alabama or Arkansas, one of those places. Oklahoma, I think, like kind of all along that span. And they spent a lot of time with college kids because it was like, that was the first week of college classes starting a lot of places. And so there was these students that like didn't have class because of the eclipse and like had scientific viewing parties out on campus or whatever. So they'd like get together in their groups and then like go to the reporter and talk about it. They're like, oh, it's so amazing. Like, I've never seen anything like that. And again, I get it. Like, I don't necessarily disagree, but it was so fleeting. It's like, especially, a lot of these kids now with like such short attention spans, it's like something happens and then they forget about it 5 minutes later. It's like, I just don't see this having a lasting impact on anyone. But, everyone, like from news to like retail locations, basically doing all this stuff to like advertise, like get all your things for the eclipse. And they had like, I think there was some company that had like black milk
What?
It's like it was like a promotional thing. I can pull it up and put it in the show notes.
Please,
I'll send it to you too.
Because that sounds disgusting. I don't know if I would even buy that, even if it was a promotion.
Yeah, like I don't know if it's flavored different or anything. It was like a limited quantity at certain store locations, like a specific store.
Okay.
It was like a certain brand, and it was literally just like colored milk. And like I saw one of my friends on Facebook like posted.
Should have advertised as cookies and creams milk. I would have bought it.
It might actually be. I think there's like 2 flavors. I just saw a picture of someone that got it. I don't know that much about it myself, but it had like some really funny stuff on the back. It was like it kind of made fun of the eclipse because it's like this whole long thing, and it was like, what, black milk? What is this? Like it's so weird. Like what does it taste like? What does it look like? Like, you know, just kind of all the way down, and then it's like, this is even crazier than the eclipse. Oh, the eclipse! Better look up. You're gonna miss it. And then it's like, you know, wow, it's so pretty, and like, and then there's like 2 lines about the eclipse. And it's like, well, it's over. Anyway, black milk. What's that? And it was kind of funny, but like again, it's something that a company put out an advertisement for the eclipse so that people would buy it because of the eclipse. It's like it just became this marketing campaign for a lot of things. And like I saw commercials of like, I don't even remember what the business was, but it was like a wedding ceremony that was like happening during the eclipse. And it was promoting something, and like I still see the commercial even though that was like 3 days ago. And again, it's like it's such a fleeting moment. I don't see how anyone could really like monetize it that much. It's not like something that happens every year where you can, you know, cycle it back around like Valentine's Day or Christmas or something like that. And like the morning of, I saw that gas went up like 20 cents everywhere and then dropped back down the next day. It's like they knew exactly what they were doing. So to me, it seemed overblown, and like here's an actual quote from this article from someone in St. Joseph, which is kind of a smaller town like in this area. It says, "This is our Super Bowl. We're basically being told this is our only chance to bring in that number of people." And that's just kind of absurd when you think about it. A 2-minute like scientific phenomenon that you can see better through NASA satellites on Twitch, bringing in that many people to a town that would never get that many people otherwise. I'm sure there's something like cool about that secretly, but when it's all about like monetizing it, because they're saying literally like everyone needs to put their best foot forward as far as the businesses and stuff is concerned, because we're not going to get this many people in to buy things ever again, basically. That's what makes me kind of cynical about it. But I don't know your thoughts if you were in totality or anything.
No, I think Texas, at least the part of Texas I was at, was like 75% totality.
Okay.
But even then it was cloudy, so I kept looking out my window and like, is it here? No, it's just cloudy. Yeah, like every other, like, it's supposed to be here now? Oh, okay, no. And then like I fell asleep during it. Like when it was actually over it, quote unquote, I was asleep. Because I had cut the lawn that day and I was super tired. But I'd watched it on Twitch. I was like, well, that's cool.
Yeah. It looked really cool on Twitch.
Yeah, because you actually could see it versus, like, you know, Risk becoming Daredevil.
Right.
But, you know, like, I want to believe that the people who are... Because I know it wasn't just, you know, your hometown. I think Oregon was one of the ones that had complete totality. Yeah. I want to believe that a majority of the people didn't just go for the eclipse. Like... I know typically I'm the cynical one and you're the one with optimism, but like I want to believe that, okay, you're not just going for this 2-minute, very cool scientific thing that definitely is cool, but you also plan a vacation around it and you're going to do other shenanigans while seeing this eclipse, and this is just day one of it. But you never know. People have a lot of money to blow, and they can some people can just afford to spend thousands of dollars on a one-day trip to see something that we won't see for another, was it 40 years, 20 years, something like that?
8.
Is it 8?
2024. It's 7 years.
Not that long. So
not even.
Well, I mean, there might be a 2024 by the time we get there. At the rate we're going. So
yeah, right.
Maybe they are justified. Maybe we're the wrong ones, Justin.
True.
But I don't know. Like I thought it was cool, but like I was just like, it got dark. I mean, maybe it's because I wasn't in a totality area. I was like, it got dark.
I mean, it was cool, and like to be fair, it was really foggy, not foggy, cloudy out, and so there wasn't the greatest view. Like I saw some people get pictures of like the eclipse kind of shining through the clouds, and it created little like crescent shapes all over like the concrete and stuff like that. And like those are really cool pictures. I didn't see anything like that. But that idea is really cool. And like my brother was at a place like that is I think his old boss's house or something like that. And like they were watching the eclipse and like shooting off fireworks, and like he sent a really cool picture of like during totality, like with fireworks going, and I was like, okay, that's really cool too. But again, I just had my phone, and so I didn't really get a good picture or anything, and like it didn't last long enough to really be substantial, like wow, and then it's over. So I just kind of see the cynical, like the monetization side of things, because anyone that came here was not coming for vacation. I can pretty much guarantee that. Yeah, or any of the towns around here that would also be in totality. Because like I said, the big cities didn't get it. So it's like people literally going out of their way just to see that. So like there are some places that, you know, probably were bigger towns, people could go and actually like have a trip there. And like I said, if people that were just like in college and like their college campus just happened to be in a really nice viewing spot for totality, like that's pretty great. Just like have a moment out of your day to like, wow, and then like, you know, go back to it. I was just home like watching it on Twitch, and then it was like 1:00 and I was like, okay, better go outside and see it for real. And then like went out, waited for it to get cool, looked at it for a minute, and then went back inside and watched it on Twitch some more. So it wasn't that big of a deal to me. So I can kind of see the other side of things, you know. I'm not trying to be cynical, just kind of bringing that side of things to it. I don't know. Let us know. Like, I think this is the kind of thing I want to continue talking about, because it's a global event, really. So like, let us know your, you know, eclipse stories or whatever the case is. If you saw any cool pictures, or like if you had a really interesting experience, or if you were that creepy guy on Craigslist that wanted to make an eclipse baby.
Wow.
Let us know your story. Oh, you didn't hear about that?
No, I tend to avoid anything with the word Craigslist in it because I worry it's going to be something that'll hurt my eyes.
Yeah, I just saw like a screen cap of the listing. But it was really creepy. I'm not going to look it up or anything because
Does he think the baby's going to have superpowers?
But no, it was basically this listing of like, I'm a healthy, fertile, successful man looking to find a compatible woman to make love during the eclipse, which only lasts 2 minutes. So
that's probably much how it lasts anyways normally. So
yeah, exactly. And there's this whole thing about like climaxing at the same time during totality.
How do you time that unless you're having sex outdoors?
Well, I mean, if you only last 2 minutes, then that's a pretty good span of time for you.
Yeah, but I guess, but that's fucking weird.
Yeah, it was super weird.
That's fucking weird.
Forget eclipse culture, man. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. People are fucking weird. And I'm weird, but that's fucking weird.
Yep.
Best part is the memes. I love the memes.
Oh yeah, there's been some pretty good memes.
Send me at Marvelous Iggy your favorite eclipse memes so I can just cherish them and laugh while I'm at work.
Or put them in the memes and things.
In our Discord,
on our public Discord channel.
Yeah,
which I haven't promoted in a while. So
yeah. I've posted some there too. So repost it again because it's always fun to see the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, Ben's kind of the master of the memes in there. So if you enjoy memes, pop in there and check them out.
You want to trigger Zero? Just put a fidget spinner in there, and then I'll get him to yell at you.
No, you guys keep putting clowns everywhere, and I don't want to go to any of the forums because there's clowns in all of them. I hate you.
But let's move on. No more eclipse talk, because I'm still weirded out by the whole baby making eclipse thing.
That topic's waning now.
I have to give it to you. That genuinely got me. That is good. That is good.
Good.
Everybody go give Zero a healthy Twitter $1.
Yes, please. I'll take your dollars. I have a honeymoon to help pay for. So yeah, Defenders. How about that? That's my segue.
That's your segue? Okay. I mean, it was very inoffensive. if we're getting right into it, we're gonna do spoilers, right? This is not. Are we gonna?
Let's start with spoiler free, just to kind of give a general overview, and then anyone, because that's why I want to do this topic second, so that anyone that wants to bow out before we get to spoilers can do that without missing most of the episode.
I just didn't know if we were gonna exclude or include it at all. So but yeah, it was very inoffensive. Like in comparison to Iron Fist, because that was what I was worried about. It was just gonna be as bad as that, because Iron Fist left me on a very, very low hope for this show. And
and it was filming before Iron Fist came out, so they couldn't respond to public opinion, because it was probably already at least mostly done in production by the time we saw Iron Fist even complain about it.
Yeah. I like the camaraderie that was there. I'm not going to say the thing I've been saying on our podcast for the next 2 weeks. I'm trying to not say that. But, I enjoyed it. It was something like a lot. And I'm going to bring this up because everybody else on Twitter has been bringing this up. But, they've been comparing the Avengers to the Defenders. And I feel like, with the Avengers, there was that magic, right? There was that magic of seeing these people together for the first time. Never been done before. And don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed Defenders for what it did and for what was there, for the most part. But I didn't feel that magic that I wanted to feel. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was Finn Jones and his lack of charisma. I don't know if it was the constant cutting away to certain characters. Sorry, I'm trying to not do spoilers. It just, it felt like another... It didn't have when Defenders, when this whole Netflix Marvel deal was announced and they announced we were gonna do Defenders, I expected to have that Avengers feeling, right, of these heroes coming together to stop, we didn't know it was the Hand at the time, but the Hand from taking over New York City or doing something in New York City or destroying New York City or something, whatever they were gonna do, it didn't really matter. But I didn't feel that, even when they all met, I didn't feel that. It felt... Don't say the meme. Do not say the thing you've been saying over for 2 weeks. It was okay. I wish...
Fine?
I'm not going to conclude that. I'm not... You can say it's fine. I enjoyed my time with it. I don't believe I wasted my time with it, because I think I said in other podcasts that I've done that I feel like I wasted my time with Iron Fist. I still want my 13 hours back. Defenders, and
this is only 8 hours. So...
Yeah, it was a day. It was a work shift. So I was I don't feel like I wasted my time. I pretty much watched it on my commute, on my way home to and from work, so I was able to get a lot. I was able to watch a lot of it. So, that's all my thoughts of it. I'll go more criticism. I can't really criticize it without spoiling things.
Yeah.
So it's
But it's overall, you'd say, probably it's fine. It's okay.
It's average. It's bad. It's batting. It's batting 200. To use a baseball metaphor. I know you don't understand what that means, but it's it's batting. 1 out of 4, not in terms of rating, but it's middle of the road. I should be more upset because I wanted to be have this a jubilation feeling, a rush, but I didn't. And I kind of hope that after Daredevil season 3, which is something I do want to talk about after the whole Defenders talk.
Oh yeah, that'll be the spoilers. We'll talk about the future of it.
Yeah, that has me excited, but I kind of wish okay, no more Marvel Netflix, because you guys can't do TV. You guys just suck. I'm sorry. Just do Daredevil. I have high hopes for Punisher. Punisher looks okay, but they all look okay, and then most of them have turned out really bad or mediocre. Well, Daredevil's been the only one that's been entertaining. So, yeah, that's what
I wouldn't say that.
In my personal opinion, that most of the Marvel Netflix shows have been either not, except with even Daredevil season 2 to an extent, have been either mediocre or outright terrible, and they did not meet the expectations that I had when they first announced these.
Maybe you have a problem with expectations.
No, I don't. It's just because again, I'm willing to. I've always been an adamant person to separate adaptations from their original sources. As long as you stay true to the source material, I'm fine. Then and you tell your own different story, I'm okay with that. I've always been okay with that. I just think they were just bad shows, or just not interesting enough for me to care. I'm going off a tangent, but I just feel we know we're getting a Jessica Jones season 2 and all that, but I just feel I don't think I'm gonna watch any of them outside of Daredevil. I'll give Punisher a shot because he's one of my favorite Marvel characters. But like, I know I'm not gonna watch Jessica Jones season 2. I know I'm probably not gonna watch Luke Cage season 2. Hell no, I'm not gonna watch Iron Fist season 2. I don't care how many PR reports come out. Oh, we're gonna improve on what we did wrong. When I know that's just PR BS. So yeah, like even if they announce a Defender season 2, it's like I don't know if I want that again. I think I'll be fine. I'll just go back to the CW and watch their shows because they actually embrace being a superhero. So.
All right. You also say Supergirl is the best CW show, so we can't trust your opinion.
I mean, again, personal opinion. I don't try to say that it's my favorite, not the best. It's my favorite. That's my love of Superman showing out.
Fair enough.
But
okay. So as far as ranking the Netflix shows, like, what would kind of your let's consider this like phase 1 of the Netflix Marvel universe. What would your ranking like? What is it, top 5 now? Or I guess 6, technically.
Yeah. Well, Daredevil season 1 is still the best. Like, that set the bar, and it still is the bar. Followed by Daredevil
Agreed.
season 2.
Okay.
Because even though it had a lot of letdowns, it had a lot of points from the comic books that I still really like, namely Elektra. And then I would put Defenders at 3.
Okay.
Because, again, it was really enjoyable. You know? It was the thing I've been saying for 2 weeks, but not that thing. Then I would put Luke Cage. Luke Cage is still mediocre because it gets pretty muddled and the story gets really dumb halfway through the season after a very good first half of the season.
Yeah.
But Michael Coulter's performance holds it out for me for that. That's why I still think it's not a terrible show, but it's a mediocre show because they pretty much squandered everything midway through by killing the best character.
And he's the best part of the Defenders, too.
Exactly, yeah. And then... well, I would say Matt Murdock, but to me it could be either both. But
well, I mean, he's the best fighter, but like he's
yeah. But anyways, then it would be you could either arguably flip these two. It would be I would honestly put Jessica Jones after Luke Cage because as much as I hated Jessica Jones because I really didn't like it, I thought it was it was just like to me it's an example of like meandering for the sake of meandering and just like, well, we don't know what to do for 13 episodes, so here's this. But David Tennant's performance is undoubtedly the best thing about that show, and the only reason I watched, and probably the only reason I'll watch season 2, if I watch it at all. I might have nothing will have to be on YouTube or anything I watched for me to watch Jessica Jones season 2. And then last I had to put Iron Fist because their lead was mediocre. They didn't know what to do with their story. It was poorly paced. Their little effect for the Iron Fist is shit. And the fighting was bad. And it was just like I'm not even an Iron Fist fan, like a super fan. Like I've read a couple of comics with him. He's always been a cool character. But like when you can't even get the fundamentals of to make a proper show right for me to at least enjoy it in that aspect, well then you failed. So yeah, and it is and Iron Fist doesn't even have any standouts. Like, at least Jessica Jones had David Tennant, as a standout. At least to me, in my perspective. Like, I know Kristen Ritter, she did a fine performance. I just, like, that is a little too more... That Jessica Jones is a little too more razor edge for me. Like, even the Jessica Jones that I knew, that I felt like they took her character and notched it up to 11, and she was basically unlikable. Or, like, even, like, unwatchable. Just because, like, I don't want to be around you. But, like, Iron Fist had none of that. It had a horrible villain, horrible lead.
It had Colleen Wing. Colleen Wing is great.
Colleen Wing is great, but, like, she's not as good as, say, comparison like David Tennant's performance. Like, she's fine. She's okay.
Well, no, you just said it had no standouts, but she was the standout.
Okay, she's the only standout. Fair point. But her performance as Colleen Wing did not impact me the same way as David Tennant's performance impacted me as Purple Man. So that's why it goes last. My apologies to Jessica. I can't remember her last because there's 2 Jessicas on that show.
Yeah. Crap.
Because Stroop is his sister. But either way, like the Iron Fist was not even about Iron Fist. The best part of Iron Fist was about about his friend, the business partner, and his sort of like Ward. I think this is his name. Like that was the best part of the show. So there you go. Yeah, that's my ranking. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'll keep my thoughts pretty quick because I mostly want to get into spoilers. But I liked it. like for the most part, I was a little disappointed at the start because I thought it was going to like kick into the Defenders thing a lot quicker. But then I mean, it kind of makes sense. Like there's a few of these characters we haven't seen in over a year. So it's like you kind of gotta, you know, you can't just like abandon their storylines in favor of the Defenders. This isn't an Avengers movie. They've been doing things. You got to service that. But when it actually like kind of kicked off, probably around episode 3 and 4, I thought were like the best of the series, season, I guess. It really kicked up. There was a good, you know, team dynamic. The supporting cast had a lot more to do, things like that. And I felt like that's when you really got a sense for the conflict and stuff. And then it kind of meandered for a little bit, and then there was some aspects of it that ended strong, other aspects that I felt didn't really make sense. But for the most part, the story was a bit of a mess, and really the focus was the characters. And I actually liked all of the characters more than I probably did in their individual shows. I felt like most of the supporting cast, like from the shows themselves, could have been left out. There was like a whole plot device of like them all being in one room so that they could talk to each other, but we didn't need most of that. Foggy was important. That's about it, actually. Now that I think about it.
Well, Misty Knight played a pretty big role.
Well, yeah. I don't really think of her as supporting because I would picture her as one of the Defenders, even though like she's not. Yeah, you know, but like I see her as a Defender. Like her and Colleen and Claire, I see all as Defenders, not supporting.
Karen Page or Foggy Nelson or
right, like the characters that don't
Jessica Jones' weird
help
roommate.
Fight or anything. They're the supporting characters, which Trish should have been helping fight, but they had her locked up too.
Yeah,
we're not going to see Hellcat anytime soon, I guess.
Yeah,
that was kind of disappointing, but. Whatever. All that aside, like I'm getting dangerously close to spoilers. The character dynamics was the best part of the show, and so like when they got that right, it was really solid. And honestly, I liked Iron Fist for a lot of it. I felt like his season, like his show, tied a little bit too heavily into the plot because you should be able to skip Iron Fist. It wasn't a good show, but because of how heavily this plot relies on that plot. You kind of at least need to know the basics of it going in, and that's unfortunate. But again, they didn't really know that at the time that people were going to hate Iron Fist, although I feel like they should have known. But they didn't. So since that was the last of the shows, it makes sense that Defenders is kind of the continuation of that, even though there were some awkward plot strings that they just like dropped in favor of, you know, doing this story. But again, we'll get into that later. But yeah, like I could really see like the potential heroes for hire dynamic between Luke Cage and Danny.
That was great.
I thought that Jessica Jones and Matt were like a surprisingly good pairing, which I wouldn't have expected, but going in, I figured like, you know, Matt would be kind of the loner that just does the really cool fight scenes and that's it. And then it would be a lot of like Jessica being snarky in the background while, you know, Luke like whips Danny into shape, basically. And I was half right. Luke does whip Danny into shape. Pretty well, too. I actually liked him a lot more at the end of the season than I did at the end of his season or even at the beginning of the Defenders. But there was a lot of like pairing off of characters, probably because of the scheduling of doing this stuff. It's easier to film, you know, a few people at once. And that worked surprisingly well. Like, the team dynamic was great with all 4 of them, but I honestly liked their outside of costume character stuff more than I liked any specific fight scene or, like, you know, plot moment. It was just the Defenders being fun characters together. That kind of made the show for me. And I think comparing it to Avengers was just a mistake going in for a lot of people. Because it wasn't trying to be that. It's 8 episodes of a TV show. It's not a 2-hour movie. So there's going to be some weird pacing stuff. There's going to be like a lot more kind of side stuff happening. It's not going to be all action. Plus, these are all brawler characters. So, you're not going to get like these big epic action scenes or anything because they're all street level fighters. One of my favorite parts was just like a quick little kind of like combo move, I guess, with Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, like in the middle of a fight scene. And that kind of like, it sums it up for me. It's like the smaller moments, are cooler in that show than any like major action thing they tried to do. Because while the fight choreography was better for sure than like Iron Fist, or really like Jessica Jones or Luke Cage, because they're such brutes, they didn't really have like majorly, choreographed action scenes. It wasn't on the level of Daredevil, because it's a lot harder to cut between like 4 different fighting characters than it is just focus on one guy, with a mask, like beating up a whole group of people. So I think some of the camera work faltered a little bit by trying to cut between all these different characters. Because it's not like, an Avengers, again, where like a lot of the action is CG. So you can just frame a shot and then have all these characters kind of flying in and out and doing all this cool stuff. You have to have like stunt people in there, like getting hit and dropping, and you have to do a certain amount of cuts with that. Even if it's like a hallway scene where it's all hidden cuts and it looks like one shot, that kind of thing. Like, you have to be able to cut. And when you have that many characters, you can't really do the same, like, one take, flowing scenes as well as you can. And also service that many characters. So I think some sacrifices had to be made as far as the way the fight scenes were shot, and it made them not as good as some of the other shows had them in the past. But in general, I'd say it's a solid show. If I was ranking them to kind of finish this off, I would do Daredevil Season 1, Luke Cage, Daredevil Season 2, Defenders, Jessica Jones, and then Iron Fist. Before, I've broken it down more and said Daredevil Season 1, the first half of Luke Cage, Daredevil Season 2, the second half of Luke Cage.
Yeah.
But
because if Luke Cage had maintained that sort of great showmaking that the first half of the series had, I would have easily put it up there with Daredevil.
Oh, yeah. Because his character is so good.
Yeah, that's great.
Like, Mike Coulter is so charming.
Yeah, he is.
But yeah, like, it's up there. The only reason it's not higher is because I don't feel like it services all of the characters as well as it could. And a lot of the plot elements in it are just confusing and unnecessary. So it muddies up what could have been a really like well-paced plot line throughout. Because there was seeds of good stuff in there, but then they kind of like fumbled it a little bit. But we'll get into that in just a second. For anyone that doesn't want spoilers or hasn't watched it yet, or whatever the case is, feel free to tune out now. I'd say I'll put a timestamp when we're done talking about it so you can hear the news, but I'll forget. So if you want to scrub through a little bit and find that, that's great. Otherwise, thank you for listening. But we're going to hop into spoilers now. So, yeah. My biggest issue... I'm kind of slowing this down in case some people are fumbling with the pause button. My biggest issue was just like the villain structure, I guess I'd call it, like the plot in general, really. They had that whole thing of like Sigourney Weaver being in the show, and that was like a big deal. And it was, she's a big name to get, not necessarily anymore, but she's still a big name, especially in nerd culture. But she was completely unnecessary in the show.
She didn't do anything.
No. Like, she was a great presence. And, like, she brought, a certain gravitas that the show really kind of needed as far as a figurehead, explaining the hand, which they've had in 3 seasons of these shows now, and we still have no idea what they are. And throughout the Defenders, we still have no idea who they are or really what they want.
Well, I think Defenders makes it clear what they want. It's just that they did a bad job of explaining it only till after, like, oh, that's what you want.
Did they really, though? Because basically what they want is immortality.
Yeah, for them.
But what do they, like...
Yeah, that part. After
what are
that,
they doing?
After that, it gets muddy. After that, it gets muddy. Yeah.
That's not like a. That's not really a goal. That's a stepping stone. Like, what do they want immortality for? Like, it says they have 5 fingers of the hand, which I actually thought was a really cool thing.
Yeah.
That whole idea of like this organization that there's always 5 people to kind of balance each other out. I liked that a lot. I didn't like that Bakuto was one of them because Bakuto is garbage. But
what do you mean he was garbage?
He was the worst part of Iron Fist, and they had the exact same plot line for him this time. Just ruining poor Colleen's
I think I'm going to
perfectly good personality.
Like Iron Fist. Like this.
And then they killed the cool guy, Sawinda, whatever his name was.
Oh yeah, he was great. I wish he would have been in the finale instead of Bakuto.
Yeah, like he had the coolest, like, kind of power. Because they all had powers of some sort, which I thought was kind of weird. Because they were from Kunlun, which I understood. And they were banished for wanting to use the dragon's, like, bone marrow or whatever for immortality. I think it was, like drinking from it or some... using its essence somehow. It wasn't like they had to kill it at that time. Yeah. But now the dragons are dead, so they have to like just scrape off the bone marrow or whatever. But they all somehow got powers in Kunlun. Not really established how, but they all have them. Especially weird Madame Gao and her like force push abilities.
Yeah, she's a Jedi.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all. Suddenly force push. But yeah, they were all exiled, they got their immortality, and now they're friggin' magicians. But I thought, what's his name? So I'm gonna call him Sawinda. That's what it sounds like to me.
The African warlord
had like a pressure point fighting. So there's this really cool fight scene before he was just killed, of him fighting Luke Cage, like just kind of like putting his fingers in specific spots, and it actually hurt Luke. Like he couldn't technically like inflict damage, but like it was kind of setting him off, so like he couldn't fight back because it was like paralyzing hits. And that was so cool. And then, like, as soon as it started, it was over. And then they killed him in that same episode. And then there was only four fingers of the hand, but none of them were interesting. So then...
Well, I found the Japanese guy to be interesting, but that's just me.
He could have been interesting, because he's the one that trained Nobu. And Nobu was my favorite. But then they killed Nobu, and then they brought him back season 2, and he had another really cool fight scene, and they killed him again. And then they bring in his master, who you'd think would also be just as cool, but they didn't really give him any good fight scenes.
No. And like the way they introduce him, like he's carving, like it's cool because like he's carving up a bear, he has this really cool presence, and then he does nothing with it.
Yeah.
He doesn't kill anybody.
That's this whole villain arc in general. It was a lot of like talking in boardrooms, which worked so well in Iron Fist. And then like talking about their plans, which amounted to nothing, and then doing nothing. The final fight was basically Madame Gao pushing people around with her force powers. Elektra, like, I guess fighting everyone. I couldn't really tell what was happening. And then Bakuto, they are doing sword stuff in the basement with the lackeys. And he was the one that freaking got to cut Misty Knight's arm off.
Yeah.
Who gives him, that crappy character, the right to do that such a cool thing? I hate Bakuto. But I'm happy he's dead. Hopefully they won't be able to bring him back. And then the Japanese guy was supposedly killed because he got impaled. Like, he wasn't dead yet. My theory is that you can only kill those guys by cutting off their heads. Like Highlander style. So it's possible he just like was left on that spike and like eventually pulled himself off of it. And like healed over time. But also the whole like thing collapsed in, so I would assume both him and Madame, like basically the whole hand is gone. I would hope that this was the end of the hand. If that's true, then I'm actually pretty excited for the future of these shows, because they're gonna have to do something new. Pretty much everything so far has been setting up the hand, with what was supposed to be good payoff in this, but they were the worst part, and so hopefully now they're gone for good. But Madame Gao probably squirmed her way out by force pushing the rocks out of the way or whatever the crap. And she'll create a new group of hand members and we'll start it all over again in Iron Fist next year. But Elektra, again, had the potential to have a really cool arc. They showed that she hadn't entirely forgotten everything. When like they had her like laying in Matt's bed, which is a really sweet moment. And then like there were a few fight scenes where it's like she didn't kill Matt when she could have, and it was like, oh, she's gonna have a redemption arc. And then the final battle, she just like starts hacking at Matt like crazy. He tries to stop her, and then they like make out while the ceiling collapses in. And it's
to be completely fair, that's exactly how it would happen in the books. To be fair,
okay, I'll give you that.
Like it doesn't make sense, but like they Matt and Elektra's relationship is not fucked up in the sense of like Joker and Harley Quinn, which we'll talk about later. But like it's not exactly the best in terms of like luck between the two. Yeah. There's a lot of animosity, so it's like that part was like, okay, that wouldn't really happen, but like I know their history, it's like, okay, I see what they were going for.
Some things work better in comic books than they do in TV shows.
Right.
I'll just put it that way.
Absolutely, I agree.
It was weird to me. But then I'm just kind of going through the plot like briefly so we can get past it because it's the worst part of the show. Then there's the kind of the whole in tags for everyone, which I thought was really nice to give them all closure, set them up for their shows, things like that. Jessica had her Alias opening finally. Luke Cage didn't really have a close off. It was just him and Claire free to go do their own thing again.
Have lots of sex on tables.
Which, yeah, that was something.
I had to cover my phone like, whoa, hold on. I forgot this is Netflix. We can do this shit.
Yeah, real quick, like, that dude's strong. He could have wrecked her.
Yeah.
But I guess she liked it.
Yeah.
She likes it rough. Whatever. Anyway. No, there was that moment at the end where it was like, it's like Claire Temple doesn't exist or something like that. So I feel like this is where she's going to kind of take on her, like, superhero kind of alter ego. Because, her and Colleen had that discussion about how, like, she might not be out there fighting, but she is a hero. So I don't necessarily think they'll just, like, call her the Night Nurse exclusively, but I think she might take on the name of one of the other characters that plays the Night Nurse and, like, kind of go into obscurity, like just kind of have a secret base at night where she helps all the heroes and, like, no one else really knows she exists. So she's literally just there to help people, like, help the crime fighters during the night. And of course, bone Luke Cage on the reg. But then we had Iron Fist and probably the weirdest little in tag that was like 5 seconds long and literally just like a guy on a roof in darkness. And
he was wearing an outfit that was closer to his current comic book outfit.
It was a blink and you miss it. I couldn't tell. I need to look up a picture of it or something.
Yeah,
but then they cut the camera like close up, and then his fist glows, and then it cuts.
Yeah,
and it's what?
Yeah, it should have been longer because I think you get the idea that he was inspired by Matt. At least what I got from that 5-second scene is that he's inspired by Daredevil, considering Daredevil's sacrifice in the show. To be the new protector of New York City, and that's why he's going to have hopefully he'll have a costume in season 2 of Iron Fist. That's the only way that I can get me to watch the show. But like,
I could see him not doing the head wrap necessarily because everyone already knows who he is. What's the point?
Yeah.
But I would like to see an actual costume.
Yeah.
Because at one point, like I think it was one of the final fights with Elektra, he had like a blue like a green jacket. And, like, the symbol was shown because, like, the jacket was ripped. And I was like, that's close. I'll take it.
Cheap cosplay.
Yeah, exactly. And then the final money shot was, of course, Matt waking up after everyone thought he was dead. Which, to be fair, as glad as I was he was alive because I thought I had already heard they were making Daredevil Season 3. And, like, Daredevil's one of those characters. There's not, like, multiple of them. Like, it's Matt Murdock or no one.
Yeah.
You can't have just a bunch of blind lawyers running around. But yeah, like I kind of liked that he was dead because I thought it was a good like moment for everyone. Like it taught them that like, these things have consequences. And like it kind of added some, I don't want to keep using the word gravitas, but it added some weight to the situation.
Grandiose?
Yeah, sure. Grandiose. But then when he was, like, he kind of popped up in that monastery and, like, it was that, what was it, Born Again? Is that the arc?
Yes, Born Again, yeah, sorry, was distracted by something that's gonna make you scream later.
Okay.
But yeah, that exact shot of Matt in the nunnery, because that's in the nunnery, is ripped straight from Born Again. And now I'm going to reread Born Again, because that's one of the best Daredevil stories of all time. And
does it have Bullseye in it?
I
want Bullseye.
No, I don't think it does. I think I'm confusing it with another one, because I don't think it is. I'd have to go get my copy. But it's a really good Kingpin. Like, it's a really good Kingpin.
I'd be okay with that too. I really want Kingpin back.
Yeah,
he's the reason season 1 is the best.
Yeah, it's a really good Kingpin. And I mean, call me a nerd, but like, I knew they were doing Born Again when I said when the building collapsed. I knew they were doing Born Again, and Matt was, because in the comics, Kingpin, I guess Kingpin finds out Matt Murdock is Daredevil, and he basically starts cutting off his funds slowly, and he ends up having Matt Murdock's apartment building blown down. So it's the exact same. So as soon as I saw the building going out, I was like, Born Again.
Gotcha.
And then when I saw the shot of him lying down with the nunnery, I don't know if I want to spoil who's in that nunnery, because there's a certain person connected to Matt Murdock's life.
Don't, because it'll be a spoiler for season 3.
Yeah,
I know who it is, but don't spoil it.
Yeah. So, as soon as the building came down, I went, they're doing Born Again. Like, and then confirming that with the final shot just had me excited, because Born Again is it's not necessarily a Daredevil story. It's more like a great deconstructioning of Matt Murdock as a character, and considering we've already been through the first 2 seasons, I think it's perfect.
Yeah, see, that sounds really cool, and I'm super excited. But that was that shock moment. That was like, oh, all right, I'm on board for whatever this is.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I just kind of going through that whole summary real quick. Like, that's a perfect example of what worked about this show. Like, all those little in tags, like after the final fight was over, were great. Like, I loved all of that because it set up what's going to happen in their next solo seasons, and I'm on board for all of it. Although, again, like, I don't really know what's going to happen to Luke Cage, but we'll see. But the actual, like, Defenders plot, like, outside of just their interactions with each other, made zero sense. They had this whole thing to want to get back to Kunlun, which they didn't really say why. And then, like, you know, Elektra tricks Iron Fist to punch open that portal that led somewhere. I don't really know where.
I got Super Mario Brothers movie flashbacks.
Yeah, me too. But it was confusing because, like, they were in this, you know, basically the space underneath New York, which I understood. And that's where that whole final fight took place. But then, like, Iron Fist punched it open and, like, fell through there and was, like, woke up in a bunch of dinosaur bones, like a rib cage or whatever. But then they were doing all that fighting, like, around the bones and everything. So it must have been on the other side of that portal, which I assume was Kunlun. But then that entire basement collapsed, and somehow all of them were affected by it. But if they were on the other side of the portal, how did it affect them?
Doesn't make sense. Don't think about it.
No, it doesn't. Because they weren't underneath New York anymore, right?
I don't know, man.
Unless there was a dragon underneath New York, which makes more sense in the context of that. That's why they were, you know, going to blow up New York to get to the dragon that's underneath. But then what was that portal? They never really showed it.
I don't know if it was a I mean, call it a portal. I didn't call. I mean, like, it was more of a wall that a previous Iron Fist, who I think I know who. If I'm guessing, I'm pretty sure I know who the previous Iron Fist was, because but that's besides the point. I don't think it was a portal. I think it was just a door, like a wall that had been put up, like. And I think they shot it poorly to make you think it was a portal. But I think it was just like the dragons were there, and this had been one of the fossilized one fossilized location of a dragon to draw their blood or whatever.
Well, I mean, it looked like when he punched it that it, like, opened up a rift. Like, that was like a magical, like, that's just, you know, thing there.
I think that's just, like, they didn't convey it enough to where, like, it's not necessarily creating anything, but it's more dissipating or disappearing versus rather creating a whole new thing.
Yeah, that wasn't clear at all. Because it looked like the entire, like, final part was taking place on the other side of whatever this was, where all the dragon bones are. But then, like I said, when all of it collapsed, it crushed everything. So clearly they were still in New York. And I thought what they were doing was basically punching that hole, because that was the portal to Kunlun. Like, that's what was going to get them back. So yeah, none of that made sense to me, and I didn't really know what they were doing with Kunlun. And the issue I had with like the plot device that was dropped from Iron Fist was at the end of that season. It said that like Kunlun had disappeared and like all this stuff, but then the hand was talking about like I'd have to watch it again to understand exactly what they were talking about, and I don't really want to do that. But they were saying something about how like I guess they killed all like the guards like guarding Kunlun, and then like tried to get in and it disappeared as a reaction to that or something. So they were like trying to get back in, like trying to reopen the portal back. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know what was happening. And they spent so long trying to explain this thing that made no sense. But whatever. I think we spent way too long in the plot side of things just because it doesn't make any sense, and it's like there's a lot to try to explain. But the parts that were really cool were like the little bits, like when Iron Fist was locked up, which I feel like he probably could have broken that easier, but whatever. And Luke Cage was guarding him, and so they had like a lot of fun back and forth stuff of like, you know, why are you the Iron Fist? Like how, and even like earlier on when they first met and they had that fight in the dojo about like, you know, you're helping people for this reason, you should be helping them for this reason. And I feel like it was a lot of like kind of Luke Cage teaching Danny how to be a better person, while Danny tried to tell Luke Cage how to kind of like be a better hero. And there was a lot of fun back and forth there. Jessica, I don't really feel like grew any because she's Jessica, but then again, she opened her business back up, so you never know. But I really thought there was some strong stuff on display from Luke and Danny specifically. And that's why I'd much rather see a Heroes for Hire show next than both, you know, Luke Cage and Iron Fist individually. But that's just me. I don't know. And when they had like the one-on-one fight scenes, like I thought the reason I said I thought episode 3 was the strongest one. I think that's the one I'm thinking of. Episode 3 was the strongest one was because it had like the Luke Cage and Iron Fist fight, which I thought was really cool. Like Iron Fist basically acting like a little chihuahua, just like kind of beating at Luke Cage and doing nothing. He's like, and then, you know, he gets that one punch in that like just ripples across his face, and he's like, "Oh, what are you?" Like, and they kind of have their first moment there, and then they meet back up. And kind of the same thing happened with Jessica and Matt. Like she sees him just kind of do his blind man parkour away, and then they meet up again. And she got that awesome line of, "If you touch me again, I'm gonna punch you so hard you can see."
That was a great line.
It was just my favorite thing of the whole series. And then the episode ends with that like just epic moment of like, you know, Iron Fist going into the board meeting and like, "I'm here to beat you guys up," and they all start fighting him, and then the music changes
to Luke Cage.
Yeah, the Luke Cage theme, and he busts through the door, and it's like, oh yeah, here's my Avengers moment. Like it's the closest we got, really.
Yeah,
but like that's what I wanted. Like that was that hype moment, and they nailed it. And then like the hallway scene wasn't amazing. Like I said, there's only so much you can do when you have that many characters. You can't really do a one take thing like you could in the other shows. So I thought they did it well. Better than the other fight scenes of just kind of like panning down with all of them like punching toward the camera down the hall. And that awesome moment of Iron Fist like punching through Elektra's sword and knocking her back. There was some really nice kind of like, you know, buddy stuff. Like I think there was one moment where like Iron Fist like kicked off of Luke Cage or something like that to punch at someone. I don't remember exactly, but there's some really nice stuff there. But then after that, like pretty much the only good action scenes were like the one-on-one type ones. Like I said, the pressure point guy fighting Luke Cage and like Daredevil fighting Iron Fist, I thought was one of the best fighting scenes. With like the brief one in the dragon restaurant, whatever it was called, Four Dragons, I think. When like Jessica threw a car into the building, little moments like that. But then you get to the last few episodes where like everyone's actually a team and like working well together, and it was just a lot of like dark, muddied fight scenes that just seemed messy. because it would go to like like Daredevil fighting like a few guys just like for a matter of seconds, like punch, kick, punch, cut away, and then it would go over to like Luke and Jessica just like throwing things at people because they're just strong people for like 5 seconds, and it would cut away to, well, Danny wasn't usually involved because he was away a lot of the time, but the cool part I was talking about earlier was when Gal force pushed a car against Luke, and he pulled a pipe out from above him and threw it at Jessica, and she smacked Gal with the pipe from behind. Like, that was a great moment because it was small, it was like just kind of a quick like beat in a fight scene, and they actually took the time to focus on it. But I felt like they were trying too hard to serve all of these characters that none of them really got to shine, especially in that final fight scene underneath the city, because it was a lot of like, they all had kind of their colors. Like Jessica was purple, Luke was yellow, Matt was red, and
he should have been wearing his yellow shirt though. Like he was wearing a hoodie.
He had the yellow shirt in the beginning. I think that's why I liked the beginning more, because he had his yellow shirt and jeans. It was cool. Then it got filled with bullet holes, and he put on a black one and a hoodie, a dark hoodie.
Well, it was cold. Like, you can tell it was the winter season for New York, so I kind of don't blame him. But
I know.
At the same time, like, yeah.
Yellow shirt with the hoodie and yellow, like, hood part would still be better. There's that splash of yellow, like, in the zip-up.
In the middle.
And then, of course, Danny is green. So they all had their colors, but it was so dark, and the colors weren't really bright or vibrant or anything, because it's not a comic book, that it still kind of just looked like everyone fighting each other, and I couldn't always tell who was who. So sometimes, like, it would cut so fast that I would just be like, okay, this is fighting. Like, I'm watching fighting right now. That's all I can tell. And so I think, like, that final section with just Daredevil and Elektra worked the best as far as that's concerned, because it was just those two going at it. But then it devolved so quickly into, like, him holding her and her just, like, beating on his chest. It was like, okay, clearly the best part of this fight scene happened during all of the generic fighting stuff that I couldn't tell what was going on. So I felt like basically the back half of the season was not as good as the first half. Even though the first half was basically them assembling. Once they assembled, they didn't really know what to do with them. You know what I mean? Yeah, I liked their individual characters. I liked their interactions with each other. But once they actually got together, the show kind of lost some steam. But what are your spoiler thoughts?
I pretty much agree with you in pretty much everything you said. I think I'll go a little bit more on Elektra in that I feel like she was the most confusing. Especially if you had watched Daredevil season 2, because she had been, she is the black sky. Like, what is the black sky? They never it was never really officially said what she was. Like, was she a weapon? Was she the ultimate tool for the Black Hands? Not the Black Hands. The Hands. Reason for reign supremacy. It was just like what was she? I liked Elektra, but even I personally felt that they meandered on Elektra too much. As much as I loved Elektra, and I get that she died, she lived, she died, she came back, and the whole point was to get her to where she remembers, and she has that tragic death, quote unquote death scene with Matt Murdock. But at the same time, it's just like, to me, as nice as that scene was of her curling up in Matt Murdock's bed, you didn't need that. You didn't need her going to the graveyard. There was like, to me, it was Elektra and the Defenders, because it felt like Elektra was the primary focus, and it didn't even do that properly, and the Defenders were secondary. Because I like that whole, in the restaurant. I thought that entire episode shouldn't have been in the restaurant, but I liked it for what it was. But
it was some of the best dialogue, though.
Yeah, you're right, but I was just, when I saw the title of the episode, I said, don't tell me we're going to spend the entire fucking episode in this.
Yeah.
And
we are. A bottle episode.
It was just like, oh, come on, like that, like it should have moved quicker. I think my biggest issue is that, outside the lecture stuff, is that the fact that I figured with 8 episodes, they wouldn't have the problem meandering, because that's the biggest problem I've had with the Marvel Netflix shows, like even Daredevil. Like, okay, we're in the middle of the part of the season where we don't know what the fuck to do. Here's this. And I felt like with Defenders, like, okay, only 8 episodes, let's go. To me, they should have met the end of episode 1. You jump it off right there. I was okay with the sort of the earthquake and them all being at certain points. Like, And after watching, it's like, okay, I understand the first episode, like you said at the beginning. Let's see Luke fucking Claire. Let's see where they're all at. Let's reestablish with them. And I get that, you know. To me, it was a clash of styles because you could tell they shot them and how the individual shows were shot. So like I was having like mood synapses because of color palette switches and music changes. Like, what's going on? And they didn't gel till after that. So I thought that was an interesting choice. But to me, they should have met at the beginning of episode 2 or midway through episode 2. Not as a stinger for episode 2 where only 2 defenders meet in each one place. Don't get me wrong, it was cool. Regardless, especially the whole Chihuahua Fist fighting Luke Cage.
Chihuahua Fist.
That's your episode title, by the way. But like, it still found a way to just like for 5 and 6. I'm pretty sure they didn't do anything. They just sat around like, well, we can't let the hand get Fist, so we're just gonna sit around and Stick may kill this guy. I don't know.
Yeah, that's when they kidnapped that guy and just like had him in holding. Like, so much of the series was just like, hey, we got this guy in holding. Let's talk to him.
It as much as I love again that whole personalities clashing in that, but there wasn't enough of that afterwards. They pretty much did everything they could to separate the defenders in every possible way to where you couldn't get that feeling. Like even Avengers, like managed to get at least a majority of them together in certain scenes to get that camaraderie feeling. Whereas this is like, we're going to give any reason to not have Matt Murdock in the same room as any other characters and vice versa. Also, again, with the supporting characters, I felt like they weren't necessary. Like, you know, like why did we need a scene with Karen Page and Patsy Hellcat or Patsy Walker? Like there was no point. Like I had a feeling that with especially with the beginning of the season where Patsy's reporting on the earthquake that, oh shit, is she going to suit up? Because she fought in Jessica Jones season 1 against Nuke. So it's like
they wasted her.
Yeah, like I figured, okay, she's reporting on it, and somebody higher up is telling her, probably somebody who's connected to the hand. That's probably going to be her cue of like, I need to get to the bottom of this, and resulting into superhero fighting shenanigans. She disappears until she has a talk with Karen Page. It's like, oh, that was why are you here? Like, why? I get it. Like, they want to protect their loved ones, but like, it
was even worse with Malcolm. Like, he was given top billing on the main cast list, and he was in like 3 episodes and did nothing.
Yeah, he was just like, he had like one line. I couldn't even tell you what that line was.
Yeah,
and Misty Knight was fine, although, you know, I agree with you. Why did it have to be fucking Bakuto to fucking cut her arm off? It's like. And
that was another blink and you'll miss it moment. Like, I have no idea how that happened. He had his swords on Claire's neck, and then suddenly Misty, like, her arm was CG flying off.
Yeah, like the camera and the fact that it was shot in the dark, it was just like, well, there goes her arm. And like, I'm not gonna lie, normally I don't celebrate the cut off of people's arms, but considering Misty Knight in the comics is a bionic arm, it was just like, okay, that's how you get it. That's pretty gruesome, but okay, you have to do it one way or another.
And I actually really enjoyed that little bit with her and Colleen at the end where they were like, Danny should be able to help you out here. He's got an in with the hospital, and she's like, he's got an in. She's like, he owns it.
He owns it. Yeah.
That
was a great ender, and that's how she'll probably get her prosthetic bionic arm or whatever.
Yeah.
I hope it's actually bionic metal. But yeah, the hand was pretty much a disappointment. It was just. I have to agree with you. After they leave the restaurant, it pretty much just goes to Snoozeville, and even that final fight was just sort of like, and I watched it when I was conscious, and I'm pretty sure I was conscious when I was watching it, and I can tell you what the hell happened.
Yeah.
It just sort of happened, but that first fight scene at Midland Square, Midland Tower, where they all come together to fight, like that was.
Yeah.
I would rather they had, like, Daredevil had his costume on, and, Luke Cage was wearing yellow shirt, I think, at that time. Or no, he just had his black hoodie, I think.
I think that was yellow shirt, because he changed after that.
Okay, yeah, but, like, maybe. Like, I really wish that they would look more like their characters. I mean, it was fine for what it was. It was okay. There, I did it. God damn it.
I did, like, in the trailers, I kept thinking, oh, crap, they're not going to actually have, like, Daredevil wear his suit this whole series. And then, later they put out a trailer where he had it. But I was really worried because all we'd seen was that fight scene where he has the scarf around his head. And I was like, why? Like, he's the only one that has a costume. Give him his costume.
Yeah,
and
no,
like
and
the
he
way they
has
actually they had that, I really liked. Because it was like,
Yeah.
they were just there doing, like, investigating or whatever. And then he was like, there's bad guys here. And then he just, gets her scarf so that they don't know who he is. Like, that made a lot of sense. In context, it was good, but it was not a great thing to show in trailers.
No. But I did like Jessica. I feel like Jessica Jones had the best lines. She goes, "Nice ears."
Oh yeah,
they're horns. I love that. It was great. But yeah, I think my biggest problem is the hand itself, the story. Like, I thought they were to me, honestly, if you would have told me that the whole point was the hand, they were trying to just extend their lives by drinking dragon bone marrow, which that's a pretty metal thing to say. But to me, like,
imagine what happens if they drink the semen.
Yeah, exactly. But like, to me, I thought they were setting up Shadowland, where the hand basically controls this one area of New York City under their rule. But no,
they wanted to blow up New York.
Yeah, they were going to destroy New York, and I would have been fine with that. But it didn't even seem like they were going to. It never made sense to me how drawing the dragon marrow, the blood or whatever, would destroy New York. I never understood that.
They kept saying, like, this has happened before in Pompeii and Vesuvius. Like, they listed cool events. It's like, oh, I can relate to that. They must be really old.
Yeah,
it was cool from that standpoint. But then it's like,
yeah,
well, what happened there? Like, how does that connect to New York? What's going to happen here? It's like
I can only assume that, and this is bad on the show that they didn't explain it well. Like, the dragon is connected to the land, and if you fuck with the dragon, then that fucks with the land, and then the land will turn on you or something.
Maybe it's a structural dragon.
Could be. I mean, that's what's holding up New York City right now. It's a dragon, which is kind of cool. But like, the show doesn't tell you that, and we don't even know if that's true. That's just us speculating. Like, it didn't make any sense. I thought they were going to create Shadowland, where the hand rules a part of New York City, and then this Marvel Cinematic Universe actually had to deal with that, because like, you can't just ignore something like that. But I feel like I can't help but deny that that's what they were gonna do.
Yeah.
And then they had the fight between Marvel Cinematic and Marvel TV, and then they did this instead. A much more toned down scale of what originally was gonna happen.
Yeah, I think somewhere along the way, like, making this show, the story changed.
It's obvious.
Because what we ended up with didn't make sense. But I say it's still a satisfying show, and it's still, like, in, like, the top of my shows list, because, like, it was really solidly done, and, like, it was satisfying. Like, the payoff we got when all of these characters came together, like, even if it was just paired off, or, like, brief scenes between them, like, it was worth it. It was worth watching 5 seasons of shows to get to this season and see them all interact with each other, and, like, where the show left them off for the future. Like, it's 8 hours of your time that's definitely worth spending. So that's why I like it, even though we've had a lot of negative things to say.
Yeah, I'm really surprised. I know he has his own series coming up, and maybe there's a continuity reason why he's not here. But I was really surprised there was no Punisher, not even for one episode. Like, I would have expected something, like a passing mention, like, because you would think, hey, criminals in the heart of New York City, Frank, they're calling your name, buddy. But yeah, nothing.
See, I thought, like, just as a way to, like, include him briefly, like, have a moment where Daredevil asks for his help to take out the hand. Like, they know the building they're in and everything. They were in that, like, big the Midland Circle building, in a meeting, like, all 5 members. So call Punisher, have him be, kind of nearby. They ended as buddies, kind of. And basically, they show the whole, like, Elektra killing Alexandra thing through Punisher's scope. So it's like he's planted, he's got the sight on Alexandra, and then Elektra comes up and just cuts her head off, and he doesn't know what to do, because he's not going to shoot Elektra, because last he knew they're all friends. And so, like, he talks to Daredevil again, and, like, that's how they know that Alexandra's dead. It wouldn't be much, but it's a way I could see him organically introduced in what they already presented.
She's the biggest waste.
Yeah, she was.
I kept expecting her to, like who I still don't know who she played.
No,
because I was expecting, like, a Marvel character. I had a theory who she was. She clearly wasn't that. I mean, she could have been, but just a different interpretation of the character.
Well, I think the reason she wasn't someone was because they knew she was going to die. It's like they didn't didn't want a name that they'd have to kill off.
I guess, but it was just like it's Marvel. They've done it before. Like I don't see that being a problem. Like, why have Sigourney Weaver, who again she's not like she has a lot of resonance within our circles, but like it was a really cool get, and I expected her to fight because she had that moment where Elektra tries to fight her out when she's resurrected, and she pretty much puts her in her place. Granted, Elektra's weak at that point, but like, oh okay, Sigourney Weaver's gonna fight. Oh wait, she's dead. It was like, why were you here? How much?
It was even worse. It was worse than the Mandarin, like switcheroo.
Yeah, because the Mandarin was funny.
Yeah, exactly. And he was still around. Like there was that short that they put out later.
Yeah,
that was like the real Mandarin is still out there. But this is literally just like she's dead. Like they cut her head off. She's not coming back.
Yeah.
So what was the point? They could have just had Gao lead them. We already knew who she was.
Gao or any other no-name older actress to come in and play this character.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, again, Sigourney Weaver does carry more presence, but at the same time, if you're just going to waste her like that... No, don't get me wrong, I like this. It was a nice twist to see Elektra sort of regain her consciousness and kill her, but at least she should have done something to make me care that she died, but she didn't do anything.
Yeah. And what did that twist really serve anyway?
Nothing other than to put Elektra in a position of somewhat power.
Right, but they were still doing the same thing.
Yeah.
The goal didn't change. She said it changed, but we didn't see anything change because all the Hand were killed at the end. And Elektra, I assume is off with Matt, wherever, in the nunnery he woke up in.
No, Elektra probably, I don't know. Because Elektra doesn't play she could play a role in the show because she was dead at... Was she dead?
She probably will play a role, though.
She probably will be. I wouldn't deny it. I wouldn't doubt it. But, I don't know. The story is a mess.
Yeah.
Sigourney Weaver was wasted. It was inoffensive. It was definitely better than Iron Fist. Because at least it embraced a lot more superheroing. Mm-hmm. And Luke Cage and Danny were, like... I like that they were antagonistic to each other, but, like, you can tell, like, okay. Because I like that it was Luke who sort of, like... opened him up and allowed him to get his chi out real quick.
Yeah.
By speaking to him. Like, Luke's a great teacher. Can Michael Coulter just be my dad? Like, I have a great dad, but, like, I feel like Michael Coulter would be a great dad.
No, he has to be my dad, because I don't have a dad.
Okay,
I call dibs. Enough. You can't have two dads.
I mean...
You can have them on weekends. Alternating weekends.
Visitation rights. I get it. That's cool.
Yeah. We can share them.
But I think that's enough about... Yeah, so final rating on Defenders?
Let's do out of 8 episodes. So I'd give it like a 6 out of 8. That's like a C.
You had a 5.
See, I was gonna go 5, but I feel like out of 8, that's like that. Percentages are hard.
Yeah,
that would be like a D, and I don't think it's a D.
I think it's a D plus. Like, it's a thing I didn't mind watching. But it's a thing I didn't hate. I didn't really enjoy watching. Like, there's enough aspects, but there's a lot more bad than good.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
I'll give you that.
Yeah. Defenders assemble, not.
Defenders assemble occasionally in pairs of 2. All right, so let's stay in the Marvel house for a second. Actually, specifically Netflix Marvel,
the House of Ideas.
Yeah, the very end thing of Defenders was a hidden Punisher trailer, which they've now released to the public. It was only exclusive for like the weekend, I think. It doesn't show much, but I just kind of wanted to bring it up. That is a thing. It basically shows like some clips of like his family and stuff, like pictures and things like that, and then it cuts out to like he had been hammering the ground the whole time, and it cuts out to like his logo like hammered into the ground, which I thought was really cool looking, just like from a visual standpoint. But it's literally a teaser. It doesn't show anything of the actual show.
That's December, right? Or winter?
It is. Doesn't say, November.
November. Oh, perfect.
So not long.
Get your family together and
watch him lose his
criminals.
Yeah.
Remind yourself, it's never good to turn to vengeance.
In bigger Marvel news, this story has a spoiler tag, but I feel like it's really not that much of a spoiler because they're not important characters. But Avengers Infinity War has added 2 more characters that are not Samuel L. Jackson. Apparently there was a set photo of Happy Hogan, who's, Jon Favreau, and Pepper Potts, wow, I forgot her name, who is, Gwyneth Paltrow, on set with Robert Downey Jr. So I guess they're in the movie.
It's probably like a one scene, like right before they fly off to space.
Probably.
Like a goodbye.
It's just kind of weird because like after Iron Man 3, Gwyneth Paltrow didn't show up in anything else, and like they had that whole thing in Civil War where they'd broken up. They made it sound like they were kind of ushering her out of the series, but then she had that in tag in Homecoming, and now she's on this. It's like, did she just not have anything to do, so she's back? I mean,
we missed. Here's the thing: in Civil War, Iron Man 4 was sticky playing in the background. We just didn't notice it.
Yeah,
there's an Iron Man 4 that they had shot.
Feels like it, but I wonder if she's actually going to like be a part of the team, because she has powers now. So maybe.
No.
Like they need to address that somehow. She can't just keep popping up and be Stark's girlfriend when like they made this whole arc of her getting powers and like actually being powerful. That's a waste.
Didn't they cure her? I thought they cured her.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure she ended the movie with powers.
Right, she ended the movie, but then like the movie ends and I don't think they... I don't know, but I think it's just going to be like Tony has to go off to war, is going off to fight Thanos and probably die. And this is like the tearful goodbye. And it's like, as salty as I am with Sam Jackson not being in the movie, like I'm not gonna lie, I'll probably cry if I see him like hugging, Happy Hogan and Gwyneth Paltrow and Pepper Potts, because like those were like that's your initial triangle.
Yeah,
not love triangle, but that's your initial supporting cast. It's like
the Infinity Trinity, if you will.
Yeah,
that's what the tag said. No, that's Jon Favreau's words.
Wow. What, Jon Favreau's words? Okay. But I mean, like, it'll probably just, a throwaway thing. Just like one scene and they're out.
Yeah. I can see something with, like, Happy recruiting Spider-Man, like, having kind of a repeat of that where it's like he's getting the suit from them and then going out to help officially.
But I kind of want to see Happy, like, try to assemble the Avengers. Because, like, Tony's too busy, like, trying to prepare. He's like, Happy assemble the Avengers. And he's on cell phone meetings trying to get a hold of people.
He's like, getting them all into a group call, and, like, they're not all sure how it works because some of them are aliens and stuff.
That would be an excellent outtake. Marvel, if you're listening, if you haven't shot... Because this would just take... You don't even need the Avengers. You just need their voices. Just, like, have the
I picture a video call.
Exactly.
It's like he calls Thor, and he's, like, in the bathroom. Yeah.
Yeah.
But another little kind of random throwaway thing, but worth mentioning.
Yeah. Happy to see they're in it though. They deserve to be in it.
I guess, but so does Sam Jackson, and he's not. So.
Yeah, I'm an advocate for Sam Jackson. You were the one who said, "Yeah, I don't even know if he needs to be there."
I mean, the fact that they're adding so many bit characters, like it makes it more noticeable that he's not there.
Okay, I'm just saying. Let's just play like I'm the right side of history for once.
No.
We have the audio. They have the audio. They know who said what first.
Fake news. The live-action Teen Titans show that's going to the upcoming DC streaming service has cast its Starfire, which I find it interesting. She's the first one to be cast for this series because she's arguably one of the lesser-known names on the team. That's probably going to include like Nightwing and like more popular names.
Depends on who you talk to, because Starfire, because like if you talk to certain age groups, Starfire is a well-known character among certain age groups.
Fair enough.
But in terms of overall popularity, yeah, Dick is. I'm sorry, I'm gonna get a. Richard is the more well-known of the team, but I think if you talk to like say people our age and a little bit younger, especially with Teen Titans Go now, a lot of people are gonna know who Starfire is.
Apparently she's not the first one cast. I missed something a while back, I guess. There's Raven has also been cast. She was the first one. It's a newcomer named Tegan Croft. I don't know. That's all. But
she's Laura Croft's lost sister.
Yeah. But Starfire is being played by Anna Diop, who I guess was in 24 Legacy. And everyone on the internet is super excited because it's a black girl playing Starfire.
I mean, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it is cool,
wonder,
but like she's gonna be like painted anyway, isn't she? Like she's like orange.
She's orange. Yeah, she's Donald Trump. Oh, that sounds horrible.
Yeah.
I wish I could take that back. God damn it.
Like you said, it's on the internet now.
I'm gonna own it. I wonder I don't know any of this because I didn't watch 24 Legacy, but I wonder how much of her sort of sexuality they're gonna put out there, because like Starfire is not like a promiscuous character, but a lot of the positions they have her in the comic books very much like walking around half naked. She's sex appeal, basically.
I mean, her costume is pretty scandalous.
Yeah, like,
and this lady is quite attractive, so I could see them playing that up a little bit.
She's very pretty, but I wonder if they're gonna go with that, or if they're gonna go with, say, like people who know, maybe who are a little bit younger than us, who know Teen Titans. And Starfire she's pretty much just an idiot, which maybe they're gonna go with the sexy idiot because that's common.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I do like Starfire because she's like the ray of sunshine that every team needs.
That's good. I really don't know much about the character, but she sounds cool, and I actually am excited about the series just because it's like, it's a live action Teen Titans. Like, that's really cool. I like the Titans more than like the Justice League, just as a team.
I wonder how.
That's why I like the Young Justice as a show, because that's a rotating team of like younger people. So I really enjoy that. So if this is anything like that, but in live action, I think it's going to be a really good show. It's just a shame it's not on CW because I think it would do better there. But
exactly, I just wonder: do we know it's Dick Grayson Nightwing, or do we know, or like it's Dick Grayson, right? That's going to be in the show.
Basically, as far as I know, we're finding out who's on the team by when they're cast.
Oh, okay. I don't know if they like announced these are the characters, but not necessarily the actors. Because if they announce Dick Grayson, Barbara Gordon fans, Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon shippers are gonna be mad, but Dick Grayson and Starfire shippers are gonna be great. Are gonna be happy.
I don't know if this is an official summary here, but it says Titans follows a group of young, soon-to-be superheroes recruited from every corner of the DC universe. In the action-adventure series, Dick Grayson emerges from the shadows to become the leader of a fearless band of new heroes that includes Starfire, Raven, and others.
Well,
so if that's an official summary, then I assume, it's Dick Grayson, but it could just be something that they're summarizing on this site.
Yeah. Well, rest in peace, Barbara Gordon, Dick Grayson shippers. You're not getting that in live action. Interesting enough, I just read a comic book where Dick Grayson erased people's superpowers, and has a child with Starfire.
Jeez. All right.
Yeah, and so it's like, I don't know what it was like. I'll talk more about it later when it's finished. But it was just like, well, what a coincidence. So yeah, it's either I guarantee that her casting Starfire means that they're gonna definitely play. That's gonna be your relationship fodder.
Yeah,
is between.
I mean, they probably wouldn't do a Batgirl because of the movie that's gonna be coming out. They don't want to confuse things like that.
If it comes out.
I mean, Joss Whedon's attached, so it probably will.
I mean, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. In bigger DC news, let's just keep that transition going. There's a few things that have been coming out about like kind of the future of the DCEU, and also potential just DC movies outside of that DCEU. And one of them apparently is a Joker origin story movie being done by The Hangover's Todd Phillips. He's done more than just The Hangover, but that's what he's best known for. But he's supposed to be writing and directing it. I could actually see, like, I don't like the idea of this movie, but I could see him doing really well with it because he's really good at that, like, dark comedy type thing. So I think he'd be a great writer of the Joker. But I don't want a Joker origin movie.
Yeah, you've also neglected that Martin Scorsese is producing this movie as well.
That's just weird to me.
Huge.
I mean, I guess it is a big deal. That's true, but it's weird.
Like that's like legendary filmmaker. Yeah, it's weird, but like I don't want it. But I like with a filmmaker like Scorsese, even if he's just producing, his imprints are gonna be on that movie. and I kind of want to see Gotham City through his eyes.
True, and if they do play up like the crime lord type, like if it's just some no name guy like in a crime family, and like he kind of tricks people and works his way up to the top, and like that's how they play the origin, that I could see Scorsese having a really good impact on that. But I don't want to expect anything out of this because there is no consistent origin for the Joker, and I don't want them to make this his origin, like official origin.
Well, I wrote about this for nerdcore.online, and I'll go and if you haven't read that there, I'll go and repeat my thoughts here. That it's not a big deal because once every few years, every writer in some fashion says this is the origin of the Joker, or the publisher will say this is the origin of the Joker, and I'll just say what the Joker said in The Killing Joke: if I'm going to have a backstory, I'd prefer it to be multiple choice. So it's like you can give or take. Not even the Joker knows what his past is, so they can say for all they want, this is the origin of the Joker.
Right, and like that works in comics, but I'm saying like as far as a movie is concerned, that becomes canon.
Yeah.
Generally, like they're not attaching it to the DCEU for the reason they don't want it to be, the official one for the DCEU. But anytime you like put something out in a movie form, like you put all that work into it and put it out there, that's what people are going to think is right, because you're catering to the masses then. So anyone that knows the Joker is like, oh, okay, this is where the Joker came from.
Well, I mean, a lot of people still think the Joker is Jack Napier, and that's not canon. So it's like they kind of we've already seen Joker origin on film, and it was Jack Napier, and that doesn't affect anything that's been done before. I mean, since then, so I don't see how this would make a difference. It'd just be only focused on that aspect. So it's like,
I don't know. They did a weird I mean, I haven't watched the show in a while, but they did a weird kind of Joker character origin story on Gotham also, and from what I heard, that was
again they always
too.
love to explore that.
I feel like it's something that's been happening too much lately.
Yeah, like everybody wants to try to outdo Killing Joke, because nothing tops Killing Joke's because I call it hypothetical origin, because it may not be the origin,
right?
Because that's the best, because that's the most plausible.
That's fair.
To me, again, it's just it's not a big deal because, again, 89, Jack Napier, they said we saw him transform into the Joker, and that didn't affect Heath Ledger's performance. Jared Leto was crap anyways. His own performance affected that.
Yeah.
But I don't think saying that this is the origin of the Joker is going to affect anything, because I guarantee a lot of people still think Jack Napier is the real person who killed Bruce Wayne's parents, and not some... There's an actual name for it, but I can't think of it right now. But it doesn't matter. So to me, it's just like, in 10 years, it'll be another name, or we'll forget about it entirely if the movie's terrible.
Yeah. It is kind of weird, though, because it said this isn't going to be connected to Jared Leto. Like, he's not going to be attached to this. So there's basically... But he can still continue to be Joker in future movies, which we'll get to in a second. So they could potentially have two different actors playing the Joker in different iterations of the Joker on screen at the same time. That's kind of confusing, because they're both weird. From DC films.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be a better one.
Discussion of what DC's doing with their movies now, considering all the recent announcements.
Yeah. Speaking of recent announcements, and Jared Leto's Joker, so after kind of winning some good favor for the Gotham City Sirens movie, that's basically just like a female supervillain movie in the DCEU. Now they're apparently working on a Joker and Harley Quinn movie that will include Jared Leto's Joker and Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. Basically taking back all the good favor they earned.
I really wish people would stop talking about this couple.
Agreed.
I really wish they would stop. Because, it's disgusting. Look, I like the Joker as a character. I like Harley Quinn as a character. I think it's so fucking toxic how people praise this couple when this is like domestic abuse blown up. Like, that's what it is. That's what the Joker does to Harley Quinn. He's a domestic abuser of her, and I hate that. I will not see this movie out of principle if this gets made.
Well, I just don't see what they could do with it, because they're probably going to play up the romance stuff. It's apparently being done by the Crazy Stupid Love filmmakers. Which honestly, that's kind of a similar love arc, except way less abusive. But it's still that on again, off again. This is not good for either person involved, but they're still doing it type thing. just in a much less drastic scale. But yeah, like if they're gonna make something like that, it's basically going to be like a comic book romance, like romantic comedy probably, and that's just weird.
But with domestic abuse,
right?
Because that's what they're gonna do.
I don't get what they're trying to do with this. It's not going to be an action movie for sure. It just doesn't make any sense. And we don't need any more of Jared Leto's Joker. Everyone hated him.
No, yeah, he was I mean, Suicide Squad was already a mediocre film as it was, but his performance was definitely the worst.
Yeah.
So it's like, and again, like, I'm gonna talk to the people who like actively say, you know, Harley Quinn and Joker are relationship goals. Shut up and stop, because you're part of the problem. Yeah. And I'm not saying boycott this movie. I will personally, if this movie gets made, because we don't know if this, because again, you can announce something. I can announce a 25-part story play of Owlboy, but it can never come out, right? Just due to my own laziness and effectiveness as a person. That could happen here. So I'm really hoping that the gods will side with me and just say, you know what? No, I don't think we should promote a movie where it's about domestic abuse, because that's what it is.
Yeah,
that's what the relationship boils down to. Sorry if I got
cash
preachy,
in on
like,
this bad romance.
Yeah, sorry if I got preachy for a second. I just it makes my skin crawl, like people praising the relationship. Like, I accept that it's a thing that's part of their characters and that it sucks, but it's there. But when people praise it as something they want to see, it's like, ugh, makes my skin crawl.
So does Jared Leto's Joker.
Yeah, I mean, the Joker's supposed to make your skin crawl, but like, this is like on a weird another level that I don't want to see.
It's in like just a creepy way. It's not even like charming. It's just creepy.
Exactly.
He's like that guy that lives in his mom's basement and like puts on face paint because he never goes outside. He doesn't want people to see how pale he is.
Yeah.
But he never learns proper social skills, and yeah.
Yeah. It's 50 Shades of Grey. 50 Shades of Grey creepy. That's what it is.
Yeah, basically. Ugh. I don't know. Some people are into that. Not my thing, but I don't get it. I don't think this would be a successful movie for them.
Nope, not even Harley Quinn, not even Margot Robbie has the box office power to pull this.
No. Pull
this out of any shit fest.
And it really would undermine Gotham City Sirens, because you're seeing her on her own, like with her, you know, like strong female buddies on an adventure. That sounds awesome. Then if you follow that up probably with the Joker and Harley movie, it's like it makes her into essentially a slave again after she's already had this like awesome lady adventure.
Give me the freaking relationship, a love interest with Poison Ivy, because they've been teasing with that for years.
Yeah,
like, give me that.
I'd much prefer that.
That's healthy, because at least Harley's actually happy.
Yeah, that relationship's not poison.
I
should get a laugh track, because no one else laughs at me.
I laugh.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So moving into a completely different realm, the Stranger Things creators have said the series will probably end with season 4. That season 3 is coming, like it's already like confirmed. Season 2 obviously comes out in 2 months, something like that. So season 3 is already coming. They've got it planned out, but they don't think it's going to go past season 4, because he said, we just have to keep justifying the story, but noted that they can't justify something bad happening to them once a year, which makes a lot of sense. So I could see like season 2 setting up some kind of like bigger thing that just continues in to the future, because season 1 could have been completely standalone. There's kind of that little in tag that teased something else was going on, but they could have ended it there, and it would have just been like a Twilight Zone moment where it's like, they didn't quite win. But season 2 obviously is kind of picking up where that left off, and it's going to open up the world a little bit more, it looks like. So if they just kind of keep opening that up to more things and just make it worse, then season 4 could just have like an actual happy ending after they keep making things worse each year, instead of fixing it this time like they did season 1. And that would be fine. But yeah, this isn't a show by nature that could go like 10 seasons. So it's smart to know you're out when you're going in, I think.
Goes back to when we had that discussion where I believe that series should know when to stop.
Yeah.
And I'm glad. And this has to be something from Netflix to say, okay, no mas.
Mm-hmm.
After 4 seasons, I'm actually surprised it's even going to 4.
Me too, actually.
Makes me wonder what they're gonna do. Like if they're gonna actually switch to, like maybe the story for this small Midwestern town ends here, and then the seasons 3 and 4 are completely different.
I don't know. People are pretty attached to these characters now.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, you're right.
I can see some of it shifting around. Like maybe following 11 with like, you know, someone new or something like that. Like she gets put into a different dimension and like has to deal with something new, but she's still the focus. And like the other characters can still pop in, like trying to find her, but they're not like the main characters anymore, that kind of thing. But I definitely I wouldn't want to see it go too long anyway, because the kids would get older and it would just be like a bunch of awkward high schoolers going on adventures. And then you're basically doing Scooby-Doo without the dog.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, yeah. Working with kids, you don't want to have a show that lasts forever. Especially if those kids end up growing up to look awkward.
Yeah, that's always the worst part, isn't it?
Yeah, there's that fear.
Unfortunately for them. Yeah. But I don't know. Can season 2 be here already, though?
Like, in 2 months it can be.
I'm ready. I'm ready to be scared out of my mind.
Agreed.
Whatever that giant fucking spider thing is.
Speaking of things that should be here sooner, I don't know. It works, I guess. Super Troopers 2 finally has a release date. And appropriately, it's coming out on 4/20/2018. I wouldn't expect anything less of them. But yeah, this movie has been in development for a long time. From like just them originally talking about wanting to do a sequel like years and years ago. I want to say 10 years ago, but I don't remember how old the actual movie is. Like the original movie.
It's hilarious. And
then they created I think a Kickstarter, Indiegogo campaign in 2015 to get funding for it, which it reached its funding it reached more than its funding, but it reached its original funding in 24 hours. And so now, 3 years later, it's finally going to be coming out. So I'm curious because the first one came out in an entirely different time. Now, like, you know, there's multiple states where like a lot of the drugs that they were like pulling people over for are legal. And like there's a whole new generation of things for them to kind of lampoon or whatever. Like it specifically mentions on here vaping. And that there'll be a teaser trailer soon, which is exciting. So I want to see them kind of go after like the millennial culture with like where drug use is normalized and everything.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
How do you handle Super Troopers is so funny. I haven't seen it in years.
Maybe that's what we should do another watch along on.
Oh hell yeah, we should do that.
I was gonna say Black Sheep, but I think Super Troopers would be a better one.
Yeah, Super Troopers would definitely be better. I think. Yeah. Fuck, let's just do that. Yeah, I'll be interesting because I'll always. I got no words. I'd be excited if it actually comes out. See if it happens.
I mean, it is. They have a release date. It's coming out.
Let me rephrase. I'm looking forward to it when it comes out. Hopefully I'll see it in the theater. It all depends on when it comes. Depends on like how finances fall out, obviously.
Yeah.
But you know, that's cool. That is really cool. But I really hope it pokes fun at millennials. That's all I really, really want.
It is weird to me to think about this though, because it's getting a wide release. Like it went from Indiegogo campaign, like people paying to get this movie made, to getting a full wide release across the country, which is a sequel. So of course it's pretty popular anyway. But how does that work necessarily when it's funded like that? Because you know, with games you just get like a digital copy at your house, no big deal.
Get a free movie
ticket? With a movie, do you get like a free movie ticket, or like how? I don't know.
You probably get like a thing to like a private, depending on what you pay, maybe a screener. Maybe. If you
because this seems like, you know, this is a big deal. Like this is a big, well, to a lot of people.
Yeah.
It was kind of a niche movie, but like a lot of people are super excited, and it is getting a wide release, like I said. So like, this isn't just like some little indie thing. I don't know. It's
if
weird.
you pitch to the Indiegogo for this, contact us. Let us know if you hear information how your reward's going to be given. Because I think if you give a certain amount of money, you should be invited to the screening.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. Like the actual, like, you know, I don't know if there'd be a red carpet, probably a green carpet premiere.
Oh, yeah.
But like meet the cast and everything. I'm sure that happens. But I'm just meaning like, you know, the bottom tier, like what would be like a digital copy of a game, like how that works. If you're just like given a digital copy of the movie, which seems like it would be very insecure.
Yeah, considering that.
Or if you're just like given a ticket to your local theater or something like that.
Well, I would imagine if you are given a digital copy early of the movie, you would probably have to sign an NDA so that way if it does break release date, they'll know.
Yeah, because those always work.
I mean, it could work. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. It's just something I thought about. And if you need a way to go see this movie,
wow,
in a few months, you could try out the Movie Pass that we mentioned. What was that, last week? 2 weeks ago?
Last week. I want to say it was last week.
Yeah, last week. Because there's just a little update here about that service. Apparently when it launched, or like as of 2016, like 8 of 2016, Movie Pass only had 20,000 subscribers. I don't know if that's like around when it launched or if that was just the last time it tracked numbers, but they've jumped to over 150,000 in just a couple of days since this announcement that it dropped to $9.95 a month. So whatever they're doing is working. AMC's still pissed about it, but like what all they wanted was a better market value for it, like more customers using it, and that's a huge gain in just like essentially a week, because I pulled the story today. So yeah, I might look into it now, because there's a lot of movies I haven't seen yet, and I would if I could just pay for one and then see the rest essentially for free. But the website's back up now, and if you are having issues, they have like an FAQ to use. But yeah, it sounds like it's all working. I mean, enough people are using it.
I want to, but like I feel like I wouldn't. Like with Netflix or like Netflix, Amazon, this Crunchyroll, the things I subscribe to, I can watch them anywhere, right? Like on my phone. A movie requires me to get my fat butt up at like 8 in the morning. Like this is just a me thing, right? This doesn't speak for everybody. But like I feel like I personally wouldn't get enough out of going to see it. I don't know if I'd have the energy to go to a movie once a month or once a week, just to pay for concessions and stuff like that, because it takes a lot. I have shit to do. I don't know if I want to see a movie that may not be out that week, or if I might waste a month. Nice idea for some people, but for me, it's like in terms of other subscriptions, I can at least watch it from my phone wherever I am, no matter what, unless the service is not great. But for a movie, I actually have to go to a theater and like interact with people, and I don't like doing that.
That's true. I like seeing movies like Sunday afternoon when it's not that busy, and you can get like the cheap matinee, which in this case I wouldn't care anyway. But yeah, that's so I'd probably go like once a week then, at least twice a month. But as a final note before we close this out, if you do have this service and are looking for a good movie to see this week, or I guess you can use it once a day technically, not once a week. Go see Logan Lucky. We watched that over last weekend when it came out, and it's pretty solid. I wouldn't say it's the best heist movie or best Soderbergh movie, because it starts a little slow. Like kind of the introduction into like why they're doing a heist isn't very well explained, and it just kind of happens, and then it goes on about 20 minutes too long. Literally, Hilary Swank, who's like in the trailers and like is on the main cast list and everything, doesn't show up until the last 20 minutes of the movie.
Wow.
So I was actually really into it. Like, it's one of the best heists I've seen in a movie. I just don't think it's the best heist movie. But then, like, I was really into it. Like, there was a few other random cameos that popped in. Like, Sebastian Stan, who's in it for, like, 5 minutes, literally. And then, suddenly, like, the heist ends and Hilary Swank comes on screen and, like, oh, yeah, I forgot she was in this. So there's some weird pacing stuff in there, but it is a really solid movie. The comedy is great. The Channing Tatum continues to be like a really good actor, surprisingly. It amazes me every single time he impresses me. And Daniel Craig is a delight. He's the best part of the movie. And yeah, like there's some surprising like well done twists and turns as far as like the whole heist concept goes. That had me actually like pleased at the end, because usually I can kind of figure out where things are going sometime through the heist. That's why I like the movies, to kind of figure it all out. And this one I was like, oh yeah, okay. That's cool. But yeah, so just I wanted to mention that at some point, and this seemed like a good transition to talk about that real quick. But yeah, I'd hyped it up for a few weeks before, and it's definitely worth the hype. I wouldn't necessarily say you have to see it in theaters, but if you got Movie Pass, then you might as well. It's pretty cheap that way.
And then you spend like $100 on concessions because you brought your whole family.
Well,
unless you're like me and you go to the movie theaters alone like a boss, then you pay $20.
Or you bring your own snacks like me.
See,
like a cheap boss.
I mean, true. I can't like. I feel. But I want popcorn.
Popcorn's like the worst for you. It smells delicious, but it's so bad.
It's tradition. You get popcorn for movies.
No, I don't anymore. Too much carbs.
Oh my god. We can never see a movie together.
I know.
I mean, we could. Hard. It's just I wouldn't have to worry about sharing
popcorn. I brought yogurt covered peanuts. Wow. That was my movie snack.
I keep the one time I did, I've never been caught, but I thought I was gonna get caught, so I just stopped doing it and just bought like legally. Like, okay. I remember one time.
No.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
My family's always brought their snacks in, and I remember like when I was a kid, my mom would always want to sit in the back, and my brother and I would want to sit in the front. So she was in the back and had like this big bag of peanut M&Ms, because that was her thing, and we had our candy up front. We all kind of crinkled our bags before the movie started, and from the front of the theater we hear this like all the way down, because it's like one of the kind of the slanted ones. Like all the way down from the back to us. And we just look back at Mom, and she has like this really sheepish face with like her bag ripped open, like down the sides, just like holding it up. Like, is anyone looking at me? Like pretty much 90% of her peanut M&Ms ended up on the floor of the theater. And it's still like my favorite movie memory. Like probably 15 years later.
I remember one time we brought McDonald's into the theater once. I don't know.
Nice.
I don't even know how we did that. I don't think because most theaters you go run by kids or teenagers, so they don't give a fuck. Like, yeah, whatever. You might have that one asshole who's like Scott Summers and they take everything too seriously. But like, yeah, we had a burger and fries. Like we bought drinks there, obviously, because like we wouldn't want the drinks like to melt by the time we got there, and we couldn't bring drinks in. So like, yeah, no, I haven't done it since. I usually just either. Because I always go to the one at the mall, so like there's an eatery there, so I'll like either eat Chick-fil-A or Panda Express or something like that, and then I'll go in. But then I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna eat popcorn, and if I'm hungry afterwards, I'll get I'll go stop somewhere. But like it all depends on the movie. Some movies I feel like you don't deserve popcorn. You do deserve popcorn. I'm like that's how I know I'm in for a good time if I buy popcorn.
Fair enough.
But I do miss
popcorn sometimes.
I do have one final thing I wanted to share with you, though, in terms of news.
Yeah.
So, and this is what made me sort of pause when you were talking earlier. So, Alamo Drafthouse has announced that they will host a clown-only IT screening, which means I am personally going to buy tickets for Justin to fly out. We're going to go cosplay as clowns to go see IT in action. It's going to be great.
No.
Oh, my God.
No.
Yeah, if you look it was just on Twitter Moments. It's already sold out. There's just a gif of Grandpa Simpson just walking in and walking out.
How?
Clowns, dude. Well, like it's Alamo Drafthouse. I mean, it's in my hometown too. So I kind of wanted to go just test my fear if it didn't sell out so quickly. But this is the same city that had a Jaws screening on the lake, which is just like. I know there's not a shark in there, but that's playing with your paranoia right there.
Yeah. Wow. Stay classy.
Keep Austin weird. That's the phrase. So yeah, if you manage to get into the IT only screening and you're listening to the show, I want pictures, and I want you to send them to at _score and just flood his timeline with clowns, please.
And I will block you, all of you, and Ben for suggesting it.
Oh, Face your fears, 0. Face your fears.
Nope. But I do want to say, like, anyone that has like some fun movie theater stories, I always find those so interesting. So you should tweet your fun movie stories at the Charge Shot on Twitter, so that we can read them and retweet them out to people, because everyone should know about fun movie theater stories. You can also tell us on our Discord, but sharing with all the public is pretty great too. So yeah, just that was my final thing, because we were talking about our movie stories. But we're gonna end this because it actually still went longer than I expected, and I didn't even say it would be a short one. So plug your crap.
Twitter.com/Marvelous Iggy for all things containing the self-proclaimed Marvelous One. New episode of Freedom Planet didn't go live on Wednesday. This past Wednesday at the time of recording, but new episode will be out Friday by the time this comes out, or Saturday. Either way, I've just basically forgot to upload it because I'm a dummy and I have to work that day when I normally don't work that day, so it threw my whole schedule off. But yeah, that's progressing nicely, and yeah, just twitter.com/Marvelous Iggy for all things concerning the Marvelous One, self-proclaimed Marvelous One.
Cool. Thank you. And of course, I am at Zero Score on Twitter and YouTube and other places. Still not much for me. More Final Fantasy VI. That's going to be going on for about 2 more months, I think. It's supposed to end, I want to say October 21st, I believe. I counted it out, like not skipping any weeks, how long it would go, because it's 20 episodes and we're on 11 this week. So I guess 9 more weeks after this weekend. But yeah, that's going to continue. And then next year, like early 2018, Final Fantasy IX will start, which the cast for that has been announced. Check my Twitter if you want to see that. You'll have to probably go down a ways because people be talking.
Yeah, I didn't even know who I was. I thought I was Kuja for the longest time.
Oh, really? You didn't see it?
No, because my mentions blew the F up. So I was like, who am I? And then I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm in it. Yeah. I didn't expect to be in it at all.
Yeah, I felt a little... Like, for 6, I put out, like, a video of the cast, but there was a lot of people either, like, I didn't cast them as people they auditioned for, so, like, I wouldn't have been able to put up, their voice for that character, or I just didn't have time, really, because I was, like, literally going to the last minute to get everything ready. Like with, prepping the script and then like making final decisions and everything like that. So I just didn't want to take the time to put out a video of it. And really I only cared about the cast knowing anyway, and I could tag all of them. So I feel kind of bad to the general public that might have missed some stuff. But yeah, that is out. I'm not going to list everyone because there's like 30 plus people that are involved. But thank you to everyone that's doing that. And like I said, it'll be starting in like 2018. So, get excited, but temper that excitement a little bit. But yeah, that's pretty much it from me. We've got some more stuff coming to the site soon. Also, we'll talk about that more on Friday with the Gamescast crew. But me and Thomas are going to be doing some stuff this weekend, and I think I think Lo is working on some more stuff too. So keep an eye out here on the site, on YouTube, wherever you follow us, and also make sure you go to all the other places to follow us, because we can be inconsistent sometimes and don't put everything everywhere, specifically me, because I forget things. But yeah, that's all. I'm gonna stop rambling, so until next time, stay charged.
Defenders casually assemble out in the theater.